Doge, Spot, Scruff McGruff, Wishbone, Chinchillas. Wait, Rugby, chinchillas aren't dogs. No, that's not even a... Rugby, that's a guinea pig. No, that's a capybara. Let's talk about doggos. And I'm not talking about werewolves or kitsune, but like actual dog folk. The anecdote I've heard is that nobody really wants to hurt a dog, so Gygax just didn't make a dog race, but kobolds were originally dog-rat monsters, so I don't know how much I actually believe that. In Pathfinder 2nd edition, they even added the Shoony, which is basically a race of tiny pug people, which is kind of awesome. I think I would have gone with Puggles or Poogles. Poogles would be funny. We do have the Pugwampy as well, but those are technically gremlins, and just imagine like a Chihuahua if it had thumbs. If you know why they're called Shoony, please let me know. I could not figure that out. In the Monsters Compendium Mistra's Appendix for 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons, that is a mouthful for the name of a book, we also have the Lupin, which are essentially dog folk, but they seem to be like more hellbent on hunting down werewolves, and I kind of think they are werewolves, even though it says in the book that they hate people making that correlation. I think it might be like a case of dog eat dog, fight fire with fire kind of thing. Sorry about the pun, but there might be more information there for them, but from what I can see, it's kind of dog folk. Where should we start? Let me get my notes here. Let's see. All dogs are good and have good snoofers for sniffing butts. Rugby, did you write this? Simplicity aside, I think this is a good place to start. If you want to build a dog folk that isn't just a were creature, you're going to have to focus on what makes a dog a dog. And we have basically 4 options for that. The Shoony from Pathfinder, the Lupin from 2nd edition, Gnolls, and Kobolds. And I think those last 2 are going to piss off a whole bunch of people, so we'll talk about them a little bit later. First off, let's talk about scent.
Hey, Rook from the future here. I forgot to mention that you could just play a dog, which is awesome. And yeah, it's pretty easy. Start either the dog stats or the familiar stats. Start taking character levels. It's going to be great.
Proficiency and perception checks when using scent needs to be the main focus of their build. So much so that I would argue their scent ability should be on the level of blind scent or even tremor sense, but for smell. You can still use the rules for like blind conditions or concealment, but any dog folk should have knowledge of the number of people, creatures, drugs, explosives, etc. within 10 to 30 feet of them. Tremor sense is a great place to start for this. You're just going to change the verbiage so that you can automatically pinpoint the location of anything that has a scent versus coming in contact with the ground. And then for things in like Foundry or Roll20, you just use the general rules for tremor sense, and it works out just fine. And then from there, regardless on what breed of doggo you choose to be your dog folk, you could go as far as to give them a vigilance feature, which makes them unable to be surprised or ambushed so long as the omitted creature can be smelled. Adding this level of smell awareness to your games can add a lot of complexities to your storytelling, and in my mind should be included in any DM's toolkit. It's not very often that I get to inform other players of unique smells in a dungeon. Maybe that's just me though. That being said, dogs should probably get dark vision. And like, while they can't see colors as well or in the same way that we do, they have excellent low light and dark vision. Yeah, who knew? Lastly, looking at the Shoonies from Pathfinder 2nd edition, they do get some really neat features like Steadfast Ally, which essentially turns them into an emotional support player thing, which makes sense, as well as some feats that build off each other like Dig Quickly and Sodbuster, which grants them a burrow speed. And lastly, they can also be a practice paddler, which does just what it sounds like and gives them a swim speed. As for me, my favorite is Scamper Underfoot and Tough Tumbler, which basically makes you way better and tougher so long as you are under the foot of another monster.
I realize now that can be taken out of context. I'm looking at you, Markiplier. Hurry, 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 hurry. She's very large, very large.
Keep it clean. And that can be while moving through enemy spaces or getting attacks of opportunity, basically doing anything in an enemy square. If you have ever tried to eat a barbecue sandwich around a dog, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's talk about stats. It's going to have a pretty wide range based on the type of dog that you choose to play. Wisdom should definitely be the primary because it improves your sniffer, but beyond that, there's a good argument to be made across the board for whatever other your secondary stat is. Say you want dexterity. Look at maybe running a blue healer or one of those weird backflippy dogs. What do you mean it's a toy? No, I'm pretty sure that's a dog. Well, the batteries fell out. You could go more towards strength if you want something like a bulldog or a Doberman, but that seems pretty straightforward. Charisma is kind of an easy one to choose for most dog breeds, but I think your go-to picks for int would have to be something like a German Shepherd or a Border Collie or maybe a Poodle. Like, I know Labs is supposed to be really smart, but I've met some really dumb ones in my day, so you'd have to make a pretty good argument for that. You might be able to change my mind. Don't even get me started on the Chihuahuas. They got them big feelings and eat bees. And that's about it. I mean, honestly, dogfolk don't really need much else. I asked the community what they would give their dogfolk, and while a lot of their suggestions were very on-brand, like unbreakable loyalty, or you can learn a new trick really easily, that kind of stuff makes sense for familiars and companions. But as a player character, I don't see them being very relevant. The one thing that all of the homebrews and like the Lupin seem to share in common is the lawful good or chaotic component of the dogfolk. Yes, they're all good boys, and yes, we want the best for our tail-wagging friends, but beyond the memes of the good boy doggo and hello, this is dog, squirrel, you can really roll them however you want. If you want to do a hellhound or a devil dog, I really don't see that being a problem. Quite a few people pointed out that gnolls were considered dog folks for quite a bit, and I know a whole bunch of you probably just slapped the glasses off your face trying to, actually me, but I know they're not dogs or cats. Let's just let's just move along. But that's another video. If you want to build an evil dog, I definitely think the gnoll might be a good place to start. We even had a few suggestions for pack tactics or cower, grovel, beg, which makes a lot of sense, but that just makes them kobolds. Wait a minute. Maybe Dogfolk should be a subclass of kobolds. Let's talk about kobolds. No. Stop. We're not going to start over. You could very easily lose track and see how they could be kobolds. Small, cute, really excited to literally be anywhere they are. Cute tails that wag when they're happy. I think kobolds' tails wag when they're happy. The only real discrepancy here is that you have to swap out the horns for ears. All kobolds should have ears anyways. Like, fight me on that. Wait, are the Char from Guild Wars 2 kobolds or Dogfolk with horns? They're lions, right? Right? Honestly, it's a pretty good comparison, and I see no reason not to give them the kobold abilities, with the caveat that when you swap out the crafty nature of the non-dog kobolds for the proficiencies in tracking and scent, it seems to work out. Maybe bonuses in catching items thrown by other players, or if you want to go in the other direction, you could go as far as to give them the gnoll abilities based on like their rampage if you want to give the doggos a bit more of a bite. Wait, do kobolds have a burrow speed? Because they definitely like digging holes. I think I'm gonna have to go back to drawing kobolds as dogs again. Thanks for watching. Remember to keep your dice on the table. I mean, if you really want to, you can lean into something of like their drawback. Disadvantage on stealth when they're wet because they basically smell awful. An uncontrollable urge to sniff everyone's butt. Easily distracted by catfolk and squirrels. Easily demoralized when they're told they're bad dogs. Wait, I can't say bad dogs?
What do you mean most of our audience are dogs? Okay, you do look like a chew toy.
Remember to keep your dice on the table.